We are live. We are live. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, if you love everything in college football, please subscribe to our channel. Smash the like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends if you want to support this rebel outpost, if you want to support the home for the college football sickos with a donation to help us keep the lights on, to help us keep growing this channel. Hit that $sign where you make your comment, and I'll get you super chat as quick as I possibly can. Welcome everybody into the studio that sits on the corner, the very corner of Keith Jackson Parkway and Kurt Gowdy Avenue. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid to become a legend with your comments and with your phone calls.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away.
Very bad start.
As you fade away.
Very bad start for the
Yeah, I'm about to fade away. Cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Got a buildup of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby, I have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no.
There is no Greg the Gold. He is not going to make an appearance. 4-9. 4 wins, 9 losses against the spread. Yeah, 4-9. The PAT Einsteins went 5-8. We talked about a little bit during our watch party last night. We're not going to talk about it anymore today. Greg the Gold again is not going to make an appearance. We are going to talk about the week 1 aftermath. We are going to talk about what teams are rising and what teams are falling early in the season. Yes, we are going to overreact a little bit. We're not going to try to overreact too much. Not too much. Before we get into the aftermath talk, I just want to open up the big doors to the Holy Smokes Theater. We're not going to spend much time in there. As you can see, the title screen of our live show does not have the Holy Smokes Theater. I said yesterday that we were going to go in there today for just a moment, and we are. Because I feel that I need to explain something. I think people are falling in the same trap that people have fallen in before when it comes to conference realignment. And I think I'm going to spend a little time at the beginning of this. I did not advertise it. I did not, we don't do clickbait here. We don't, I did not advertise it. I want to explain something. I think it's important. So we will get to that. And I want to talk about, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, we had an original email copied onto a document that was plastered on another email in Penn State. It was forwarded. We got our hands on it. It was given to us. The subject line was no recent talks with the University of Pittsburgh in regards to Big Ten expansion. I don't know quite the wording anymore. I'll take a look at the email. But you all get my drift. We talked about this weeks ago. And Brett McMurphy came out last week, was it? Or the week before, and was on the Annie Staples show, Ari Wasserman show, On 3. Brett McMurphy is a part of On 3 now. And he talked about how he has, I think he expressed like nothing is imminent. the Big Ten, I'm just going to focus on I'm not going to just focus on the Big Ten. I'm going to focus a little bit on the SEC that I think is going to throw everybody for a little bit of a loop here. But we'll get to that in a moment. But first, we're going to talk about the Big Ten. Super Chat, Helmer Hennison is leading us off. Florida State was fun to watch. Is Texas still at number one? No, they're not at number one. They're at number 6 in the AP poll. They're at number 1 when it comes to the ESPN analytics. ESPN, what do you call that? The Funny Power Index. The Football Power Index. Texas is still number 1. But the AP poll that came out earlier today, and we did an episode on it. If you want to go watch it, it's episode 460. The episode is for everybody. Go give it a watch. I'm not going to spend much time on the AP poll during this live show. We did an episode on it earlier today. Thank you for the $2 holler, Hemmer Henderson. I appreciate your generosity. When Brett McMurphy was on the Andy Staples, Ari Wasserman show, he talked about how if you listen to it, because I've seen a lot of people take what he said and they go off in all sorts of directions that Brett McMurphy actually did not say. He did not report on it in a way that a lot of people think he did. Brett McMurphy said whoever the candidates are today, the top candidates are today, it could be different. It could be different in 2030. He said it. He said it right on Staples and Wasserman. He said the candidates today might not be the top candidates today, might not be the top candidates in 2030. Things can change, he said. But at this point, when it comes to the Big Ten, Brett McMurphy sounds like he's getting people talking to him about the 13 AAU schools in the Big 12 and the ACC. 8 of them being in the ACC and 5 of them being in the Big 12. And it sounds like at this point in time, the Big Ten presidents might be focusing on those universities. Brett McMurphy made sure to explain that the Big Ten presidents are going to be making the decision. They're going to be the ones making the decisions on conference expansion. And he also said, yeah, you're going to have somebody pay for it, but the Big Ten presidents are going to be making the decision. So is the Southeastern Conference presidents. And the Big Ten presidents, I'm going to tell you right now, they are going to support different candidates. Different voting blocks are going to support different candidates. Different voting blocks are going to push the names of different schools. They're already doing it. And schools that know they are candidates for possible Big Ten expansion, they're talking to their friendlies. They're talking to the ones that support them. They're trying to get other people on board. There is not a consensus beyond the addition of the two huge population states, the two universities that are AAU, North Carolina and Virginia, besides that, there is no consensus. And we talked about that on our live show, June 15th, 2024. It was accurate then. It is accurate now. We're not going to do a roll call. I want to thank everybody for joining us. I do appreciate it so very much. I appreciate everybody coming on in. I really do. But I want to get to the aftermath, but I have to talk about this because somebody has to. So I'm going to do it. I am going to do it. So we're going to spend a little bit of time in the Holy Smokes Theater. Hold on one moment, please. Hold on. We got a super chat. Thank you, Buckeye Greg. Go Buckeyes, undisputed. Number one team in the land. AP number one team. Congratulations. Watch out for October 4th. Watch out for October 4th. Thank you for your generosity, Buckeye Greg. I appreciate it. You are welcome, Canes fan 1993. You are very welcome. Thanks for picking Notre Dame this weekend. Yes, the Ohio State Buckeyes are the undisputed national champions. No question about it. Okay. There is something in the water that people are starting to believe in. And I I've been doing this for a long, long time. I remember back when the Big Ten had 12 teams. I remember when the Southeastern Conference had 14 teams, and people kept saying, Greg. Economically, it cannot happen. The Southeastern Conference cannot grow over 14 teams. Because for a couple of years, I kept saying, because people kept telling me that Texas and Oklahoma were keeping their exit ramps empty. That they were going to be able to leave when the time was right. They were not going to sign on certain Big 12 deals. And the pushback from Big 12 country was intense. No, Greg, you're wrong. Economically, it doesn't work. If you go past 14 teams, it doesn't work. And I pushed back and I said, no, there is no magic number. There is no magic number. And then Texas and Oklahoma joined the SEC. When the Big Ten was at 12, no, the Big 12 can't grow beyond 12. Then they went to 14. No, the Big Ten can't grow beyond 14. There is no schools out there except for Notre Dame that would bring enough value. It's all been wrong in the past. And that type of thinking is going to be wrong in the future. One of the most important rules of realignment. And these are one of these rules that I have not gone over like I should have. Realignment never sleeps. We know that one, right? Realignment starts with the biggest dominoes falling first. We know that one, right? Relationships are incredibly important. We know that one, right? The one that we don't really talk about enough is when it's early, the media companies, the media partners have the leverage. When it's late, the conferences do. Early, advantage media partners. Late, advantage conferences. It is the reason why conferences normally do not expand until that new media, the new media rights is going to be open once again for negotiations. That's when, if you're a conference that creates a lot of value for your media partners, and it's a known thing out there, if your media package is you have the advantage late as a conference. When the Big Ten added Washington and Oregon, and they came in at half share, when I kept doing live shows and I said, well, Washington and Oregon are coming in 5 months from now, or they're coming in 5 years from now, but Oregon and Washington is coming in. And a bunch of things had to happen. Kevin Warren had to leave. I said it, then he left. The disadvantage that Washington and Oregon had was the timing. It was bad timing for them. Oregon and Washington are going to be full freight members of the Big Ten when the new media negotiations, when that gets all done. They're going to make they're going to make as much as anybody in the Big Ten. So when we talk about, we're going to talk about this for a while. I know this live show is about the aftermath. This live show is about the aftermath. But we got to talk about this. So during this time, we are in 2025. Next year's 2026. Next year's 2027. Next year's 2028. Then next year's 2029, then 30. Earlier, 26, 27, 28, especially 26, 27, the advantage is the media partners. But later on, the advantage is the conference. If you are a school, if you are Florida State, Clemson, if you are Georgia Tech, Duke, you're trying to get in Virginia, North Carolina, you're trying to get into the SEC of the Big Ten. If you want to arrive early, if you can arrive early into the SEC of the Big Ten, just remember it's advantage media partner. If you are going to be arriving late, if that is your window, and we'll get into why you might have a different window than another team, another program, then it's advantage to the conference. Let me explain a little bit more, because I'm seeing a lot of this, well, Greg, I'm going to focus on the Big Ten here. Okay? Well, Greg, team program A is not worth enough money to the Big Ten. It's not, they couldn't come in as a full share. It wouldn't make money. It would not be wise for the Big Ten to add this school, that school, that school. There is a lot going on, ladies and gentlemen. There are schools that are willing to come in. Again, we're entering the Holy Smokes Theater just for a little bit right now. There are schools that are willing, they're not even looking at the full share. They don't give a damn about the full share. The SEC, yeah, they got to do pro rata, but they're willing to come in at less than full share. Let the extra money be dispersed to the other SEC schools. That is their selling point. There are schools out there, you think it's just Memphis that is offering goodies to the Big 12? Nah. Nope. So when people say this school is not worth enough, this school, the school that you're talking about, is probably saying, we're good with that. We're good with us not getting as much money as any of the Big Ten schools for the next 5, 6, 7 years. That is what's going on right now. That is precisely what's going on right now. Now, if you are Tony Petitti, you're sitting there and you're going, whoo, we got a lot of candidates, and they do. It's a large net. Nothing is done. Nothing is settled. In fact, it can't be. It won't be. First, they got to decide on how big the college football playoff format is going to be. And for the Big Ten, bigger is better. And for the Southeastern Conference as well. Because they want to expand. They want to do the big scoop. A lot of people in the SEC wants to do the big scoop. And again, you're saying, Greg, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Economically, it doesn't work. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Because eventually, the Big Ten is going to be sitting down with Fox and CBS and NBC, and they're going to be going, okay, we are looking at this. We are expecting this much of an increase in total payouts in this media package. And if we don't get it, we will shop around. And there is going to be buyers out there. The Southeastern Conference, as much as they are consumed and basically owned by ESPN, they're really not. The Southeastern Conference can say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Advantage early for the media partners. Advantage later is held by the conferences. And you are worth what somebody is willing to pay for you. Here is another thing that is is being, I don't think people like, I'm going to go ahead and say it. One of what has become one of the greatest motivations for Big Ten and Southeastern Conference expansion, besides growing your footprint, student apocalypse, pushing your brand, one of the other great motivations for further expansion from the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten is this rallying around the Super League flag that other schools, institutions, and conferences are doing right now. The Big Ten and the Southeastern Conference, they don't want anything to do with the Super League. Nothing. They want to control what they can control. They want to control their conference. They want to, the motivation is for them more than ever now, especially with the Super League. With the Super League talk, with politicians getting involved, with major boosters getting involved, with Cody Campbell talking with Donald Trump, having commercial ads, the pushback is as aggressive. So there is another motivation out there that the Southeastern Conference is looking at and saying, oh, yeah, we want into Virginia. Oh, yeah, we want into North Carolina. We've often talked about strength in numbers when we're talking about Conference USA, when we're talking about the Mountain West, when we're talking about the new Pac-12. They're probably going to have to expand. They're going to expand once again. Backfilling this, backfilling that, strength in numbers this, strength in numbers that. It's a strength in number when it comes to the Big Ten and the SEC versus the people, the forces back in the Super League. So that's another great motivation. So there's one more thing I want to talk about. And it's going to throw everybody in for a loop. And everyone's going to, I mean, not everyone, but there's going to be people who take this the wrong way. So I'm going to make sure to let everybody know we're just throwing this out there. A lot of people are going to say, oh boy, Greg. They're going to take personal offense that I'm bringing something up. Okay. The University of Pittsburgh. Now, if I had to make a prediction about the University of Pittsburgh's future, I would put my chips in the middle of the table and I'd say Big 12. I would say that Pittsburgh is going to end up in the Big 12. And my second choice for the University of Pittsburgh they would end up being in a reimagined ACC. A backfield ACC. Those would be my two predictions. Gygax, thanks for coming on in. The reason why I'm bringing up Pittsburgh is, again, we had that email out of Penn State, and it did say no recent Big Ten talks with the University of Pittsburgh. Brett McMurphy said on the Ari Wasserman, Andy Staples show that the Big Ten, right now, the presidents are looking at 13 AAU schools. 8 of them in the ACC, 5 of them in the Big 12. It's a big list, big candidate list. Things can change. Florida State can become AAU. University of Pittsburgh is on that Brett McMurphy list, right? Brett McMurphy has talked about the University of Pittsburgh before. And he has predicted, like many people in the chat room and others, that the University of Pittsburgh would very well could be a Big 12 school in the years ahead. I want to show you something that Brett McMurphy said 2 years ago about University of Pittsburgh. And then I want to share something with you that I want to share something with you that came out of the same source it came out of Penn State. Let's just say that. I'm not even going to describe it. I'm not going to say it's an official, a money perch, somebody in media. I'm not going to even describe it. Something out of Penn State where this came from explains something to us. And I read it, and then I made a phone call, and then I went, and I went back to what Brett McMurphy said a couple of years ago, and it's kind of interesting. I just want to bring this up. Just for a moment. But before I do, the University of Pittsburgh has always been on the Big Ten's candidate list. They've always been there. And they're probably always going to be there. And I've told you the story before when the Big Ten added Michigan State, Minnesota sponsored Michigan State, and Michigan sponsored Pittsburgh. And Minnesota won that battle. It was a very close battle. Both schools got a bunch of votes, but Michigan State had one more vote. Michigan State became a Big Ten member. University of Pittsburgh has always been listed. During the Jim Delaney years, Pittsburgh was listed as a Big Ten candidate. Kevin Warren years, they've been listed as a Big Ten candidate. Tony Petitti years, they're listed as a Big Ten candidate. They just are. Brett McMurphy. Now, I'm not saying they're anywhere near the top. I'm definitely not saying that Pittsburgh is going to be part of the Big Ten. I'm just trying to explain something here. I'm trying to get to it. I'm going to get to it, but you got to let me set the table. Because it was explained to us there is something unique about the University of Pittsburgh. And it's why they stay on the expansion list. I'll get to it in a moment. So Pittsburgh is always on the expansion list. And it shows you, even during the Jim Delaney years, even during the Kevin Warren years and now Tony Petitti years, it shows you that Penn State, even though they're probably never going to support Pittsburgh, probably, and they're never going to cast their vote for the University of Pittsburgh, and they're never going to sponsor Pittsburgh, Penn State is never going to be part of the voting block to bring in the University of Pittsburgh. Yet, Pittsburgh always is on the Big Ten candidates list. It tells you a couple of things. One, Penn State, and we've talked about this before, nobody in the Big Ten has the veto pen. Nobody. If you get the votes, you're in. Right now, you need 13 out of 18 votes in the Big Ten. The Buckeyes were not a supporter of Oregon. They were not a supporter of Washington. Not at this time. But Washington and Oregon had the votes. So now the Buckeyes have the power when it comes to this next wave of realignment. So I want to show you what Brett McMurphy said a couple of years ago. I want to show you what he said, and then I want to share with you what was told to us by a Penn State source. And that's all that's the only way that I'm going to categorize this person giving us this information. I want to show you this. May 18th, 2023, Pittsburgh Panthers on SI. College Football Insider predicts where Pitt falls in realignment. Action Network, Brett McMurphy believes the Pitt Panthers will be attractive to the coming Super Leagues. All right? Hang on here. This is 2023, ladies and gentlemen. 2023. It's not now. It's not in 25. So everybody relax. Everybody relax. May is typically a quiet time in the college sports calendar. Spring football is long gone. Again, this was May of 2023. Pitt's conference, the ACC, appears to be bursting at the seams, with roughly half of the league reportedly looking for ways to break the grant of rights agreement and pursue membership in a much bigger, richer league. So where does that leave the Panthers? Action Network, Brett McMurphy tried to answer that question in an appearance on 93.7 The Fan this week. Hello, Big 12. McMurphy said what Pitt's next move could be. Now, bear with me here. Stay with me. Don't go anywhere. I need you guys to take this in. Let it marinate. Like most in the industry, Brett McMurphy sees college sports heading towards an increasingly more polarized world, with the Big Ten and the SEC separating themselves through obscene advantages and wealth. Where Pitt fits into that picture depends almost entirely how attractive a television product they are. An ACC title, consecutive ranked finishes, and a New Year's Six Bowl game appearance help their case, but it's still murky at best. That said, Brett McMurphy believes that Pitt has enough weight behind it in terms of tradition and national prestige, combined with a current upward trajectory, to make them a candidate for relegation to one of those super leagues. I think it's desirable. It's not Bama, Texas, or USC. But then again, who is? McMurphy said. But the number one metric right now is your value to the TV networks. And I don't specifically know where Pitt ranks in the whole totem pole listing of schools. But I think they would be in the upper half. McMurphy sees the Big Ten as the most likely landing spot for Pittsburgh. Not in total. McMurphy sees the Big 12. But when it comes to the Big Ten versus SEC, right? McMurphy sees the Big Ten as the likely landing spot. Regional integrity is still somewhat important to the conference. And he added there's a chance bringing West Virginia along with them could make for an attractive package deal. Again, we're talking blend, right? Package deal, West Virginia, Pittsburgh. You bring Pittsburgh into the Big 12, it's a big deal. If McMurphy had to choose which had more potential for Pittsburgh, Big 10 or SEC, he chooses the Big 10, and maybe you take West Virginia along. Worst case scenario, McMurphy thinks Pittsburgh could join the growing Big 12 along with some of its old pals like Syracuse and Boston College. But they still have a good of a chance as any of those in a second tier below the Clemsons and Florida States of the ACC landing on their feet in a super conference. So, Clemson, Florida State, they are a tier above. And then you have the other schools below them when you're talking about trying to get to a super conference, trying to get into the Big Ten or the SEC. Now, listen to this. I think Pittsburgh would be fine in this musical chairs of conference realignment if the Big Ten or the SEC got up to 24 schools. But there's no guarantee either way, McMurphy said. I need you guys to give me a moment here. Hold on. So what McMurphy said 2 years ago, if the Big Ten and the SEC got up to 24 schools, Pittsburgh would be fine. There's no guarantee, but he thinks there would be an opportunity for Pittsburgh to actually get to the Big Ten or the SEC if they both went to 24 schools. And West Virginia could be part of that package, right? Now, I just got done talking about the motivations of the Big Ten and SEC to grow their conferences beyond the spreadsheets, beyond, oh, this school's worth this much. If it's not worth enough, it doesn't. There is value in itself for these conferences to grow. I'm not going to go any more on that. Okay. So, McMurphy definitely has not lost all credibility. Again, I think you guys are taking this wrong. Honestly, I do. Let me add this part. What McMurphy, secret agent, says, wasn't McMurphy also the one who penned the Expansion Canada article last week? So, yeah, let me go backwards just a little bit, but then let me go forward with what this Penn State source told us. Just a unique feature about the University of Pittsburgh that I can honestly tell you I have never thought about, I have never talked about, I have not uttered anything that was told to me before, but I'm going to pass it along to you all. Brett McMurphy, when he was on Wasserman and Andy Staples' show, he said, when they said, what do you think about Jim Smith's comment, the University of Maryland saying 20? And Brett McMurphy wrote an article earlier in that day. Brett McMurphy questioned why Jim Smith did not say 20 to 24. That should have been Jim Smith's answer. That's Brett McMurphy. That Brett McMurphy believes a Big Ten athletic director should have said when answering the question, how many schools are going to be in the Big Ten in 2030? Brett McMurphy was doubting that 20, he was saying 20 to 24. So Brett McMurphy is a believer that the SEC and the Big Ten could get to 24. And he's not the only one, the chatter behind the curtain, who believes that. One of the big reasons why the SEC's thrown around huge college football playoff format ideas, and it's why the Big Ten is throwing around these big ideas. Now let me get to the University of Pittsburgh. Could they be a part of a 24-team Southeastern Conference? Could Pittsburgh be a part of a 24-team Big Ten Conference? Well, they don't bring the TV value, right? In my opinion. I think there is a lot of pushback on Pittsburgh being able to be a 24-team SEC, 24-team Big Ten team. But the answer was provided to us by, we're going to call him Penn State source, the same person that brought us the document, and we know it's absolutely legit. It did say, though, the Big Ten, no recent talks with the University of Pittsburgh. But when we asked him, why is the University of Pittsburgh always a candidate for Big Ten expansion? He answered in this way. It is been known, I can't believe I'm saying this. Guys, I'm gonna get dragged over the coals on this, but because people are gonna misinterpret what I said and throw it out there, and Greg's reporting this, Greg's reporting that, but I don't care. I'm just telling you what this Big Ten source said. The University of Pittsburgh is known as the one spot on the map. The one university that if the Southeastern Conference does go to 24 schools, and that is a big what if, but there are people believe that the Southeastern Conference is eventually going to go there, not for just money, but for power and everything that goes with it. Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh is the one spot on the map that the Southeastern Conference could expand into Big Ten country and have a university that the presidents would accept. When I read that, I sent out a question and I said, whoa, 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 whoa. What are you talking about? You got that school in Ames, Iowa, Iowa State, and nope. According to what this Penn State source is, Pittsburgh, if the SEC goes to 24, you're looking at the University of Pittsburgh as a possible candidate. If the Big Ten goes and takes a Miami, if the Big Ten goes and takes a Georgia Tech, if the Big Ten goes in the Southeast, which I fully expect them to succeed in at some point, for lots of different reasons, because I don't think the Southeastern Conference is going to be interested in playing total defense in the Southeast. But if the Big Ten lurches into the Southeastern Conference, and it actually happens, according to the Penn State source, that the dynamics, the relationship between the two conferences, you get up into Pittsburgh, and even though Pittsburgh's not a big brand and all that stuff, not TV value, but they got some tradition, good university, quasi-private, quasi-public. But Pittsburgh, close to Columbus, Penn State, that is the one spot on the map that the Southeastern Conference, if they ever go to 24, might just do it. And so the Big Ten might just want to close that off. Then it started making a little sense to me, right? Because I'm always talking about how it would be stupid for the Southeastern Conference and ESPN to be able to go to let Big Ten grab Florida State and Miami together, although that's a lot different than Pittsburgh. Because Pittsburgh, whatever dynamics they can give you, would not even come close to matching the value of the dynamics of a Florida State and Miami. So it was explained, this is why the University of Pittsburgh continues to be on the Big Ten expansion map. If both conferences go to 24. Kind of like what Brett McMurphy said a couple of years ago. If these conferences go to 24, Pittsburgh might be included, and West Virginia might be included with that. I just wanted to put that out there. Am I saying that Pittsburgh's going to go to the Big Ten? No. Am I saying Pittsburgh's going to go to the Southeastern Conference? No. My prediction is the Big 12 won or reimagine ACC. But now I understand more. I've never heard that before. The University of Pittsburgh is the one spot on the map that Southeastern Conference could enter into Big Ten country. I sat there and looked at it. Pretty interesting. Okay, all right. So now let's get to the aftermath show. Let me get to some super chats. I do not think I got to all the super chats. I answered that question, Helmer Henderson. Text, I do not know. Thank you for the $2 holla. They do not let us see what's behind the curtain when it comes to the metrics of the FPI, so I have no understanding of it. I do know that recruiting rankings play a big part. Or at least I've been told that. Okay. All right. We got a super chat, Opie. Opie D Dome. I have noticed a run on coals, Greg Flugar. My barbecue pit has gotten more expensive to run this year. Well, I'm so sorry that happened. So sorry about inflation, Opie. I do appreciate the super chat. I do appreciate it so very much. Thank you so much. I get it, MBM. Thank you, Opie. Thank you for your incredible generosity. Incredible generosity. Thank you so very much once again. MBM, media partners aren't going to pay Pitt $100 million for 300,000 eyeballs a game. I get it. But I'm going to warn everybody, there's going to be schools added to the Big Ten and the SEC that are not big viewership programs. They're going to be added for other reasons. And then, again, when it comes to the end of these, when it comes to the current end of the media rights, the conferences are going to have the leverage. D5 Terps, I don't believe the SEC will ever go to 24, and they may not. And they definitely may not. You don't expand into Big Ten territory because they're all dying regions. Jason Spangler. So when the Big Ten adds Kansas, are you going to say the same thing, Jason? Are you going to say the same thing? Is your source, is your Penn State source immaculate? No, I do not talk to immaculate. Again, what is the Penn State source saying? What is he saying? Is he saying that Pittsburgh is going to become a member of the Big Ten? No. He's not saying that Pittsburgh is going to become a member of the SEC. No. He's telling us why they continue to be on the expansion list. Hopefully people understand what was said today on this live show. Hopefully. I don't think, okay. Big Ten will get Florida State and Miami. Buckeye Greg. Where is this list? Pittsburgh, I don't know, maybe you got, Pittsburgh has always been on the Big Ten candidates list. They were on with Jim Delaney. They were on with Kevin Warren. They're on with Tony Petitti. Google it. Nobody is saying that the Big Ten is going to add Pittsburgh. Nobody's saying that the Southeastern Conference is adding Pittsburgh. Nobody's saying that. I get it. It happens every single time I do something like this. That's all right. It's all right. I put it out there. It was interesting. Most people are getting it wrong once again. But I thank you, Opie. Thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it very much. We are going to do the aftermath. First, we are going to talk about the Big 12. The Big 12. Holy smokes. Big 12. Let's get to Big 12. I already screwed up there. We're going to go through these games real fast. And then we are going to go to your phone calls. We're going to open up the phone lines here pretty soon. Talk about anything you want to talk about in college football. Week 1, UCF 17-10 over Jacksonville State. Scott Frost survives. Haas Heine, injury. He's going to be back, we believe. The Cowboys win 27-7. Zane Flores does mighty good. Connor Weigman, 3 touchdown passes. The Cougars beat Stephen F. Austin 27-0. Cincinnati battles, but they lose 20-17. I think it was a pretty good performance by the Bearcats. Kansas goes big, 46-7. Jalen Daniels is on the PATC Heisman watch list. Baylor loses to Auburn. Baylor could not stop the running quarterback of Jackson Arnold. He ran all over Baylor. Big loss for Baylor. Big loss for the Baylor Bears. Hopefully they can get it back going again. Colorado loses 27-20, even though the Buffaloes had an advantage, had a turnover advantage. Arizona State defeats Northern Arizona 38-19. Arizona State Sun Devils, the reigning defending Big 12 champions, win big. Kansas State survives 38-35 over North Dakota. Iowa State wins big. And now the Cyclones and the Hawkeyes play next weekend. Ames, Iowa. It's going to be big noon game. It's going to be the Cyclones, I think, are going to make a statement. Another statement. The Texas Tech Red Raiders 67-7. And they got good news. Red Baron Morton, his injury is not severe. Texas Tech 67-7. Nico Marchio, West Virginia, Jaheim White, the great running back. The Mountaineers go big over Robert Morris, 45-3. They've got the Ohio Bobcats next. Could be a very interesting game. BYU 69, Portland State 0. Very good opener for Bear Bachmeier. Arizona 40, Hawaii 6. Utah runs UCLA out of the gym. Absolutely out of the gym. Utah 25th in the new AP poll. Let's get on to the ACC. North Carolina State survives a close one against East Carolina. Duke wins big. Wake Forest survives 10-9 over Kennesaw State at home. Bobby Ashford, first game as the quarterback for Wake Forest. Again, Georgia Tech wins. 3 turnovers to begin the game, but the Rambling Wreck, the Yellow Jackets, still win that game 27-20 as Haynes King runs for a touchdown. He's a gutsy kid, man. This was a beautiful game. Clemson lost, but Clemson will be back. They got to figure out the running back position. They got to figure it out. They got to get one of their young guys ready to go. LSU defeats Clemson 17-10. The Florida State Seminoles, the Seminoles rise again. 31-17. Thomas Castellanos backed up every word he said. Tony White's defense confused Ty Simpson. It happened. The Seminoles beat the Crimson Tide 31-17. SMU, big win over East Texas A&M, 42-13. Syracuse loses the 45-26. Some really good things happened on offense for Syracuse. On defense, they were completely outmatched. Pittsburgh 61, Duquesne 9. Boston College 66, Fordham 10. Louisville 51, Eastern Kentucky 17. Louisville win big. In Virginia, who got 2 votes in the AP Top 25, beat Coastal Carolina 48-7. Oh boy, California Golden Bears have got themselves, I believe, a brilliant quarterback. We'll talk about him later in the week. California 34, Oregon State 15. Miami wins 27-24. The Hurricane season has arrived. My goodness. Malachi, that number 10, that wide receiver, that freshman, holy smokes. Carson Beck looked good. The defense held on. South Carolina 24, Virginia Tech 11. Dylan Stewart went crazy. Dylan Stewart, the great defensive end for the South Carolina Gamecocks, went absolutely nuts in that game. Holy smokes. Big Ten. Rutgers, 34-31 over Ohio. The offenses controlled this game. Both offenses. Minnesota 23, Buffalo 10. Minnesota ended the game with a 9-minute and 45-second drive. No points. They could have scored, but they just kept running the ball. They just killed the football. 23-10. Minnesota, Nebraska 20-17. Tough game, but Nebraska, this could be the psychological breakthrough that the Cornhuskers needed. Wisconsin pitches a shutout over the Miami, Ohio. The Badgers, Bama, we'll see what happens. The Fighting Illini, 52, Western Illinois, 3. Hank Beatty had an incredible football game. Illinois, they are absolutely loaded. Michigan State 23, Western Michigan 6. The defense, Joe Rossi's defense, has arrived in that Mekhi Frazier ran for 103 yards. The Sparty might have themselves a running back. The Buckeyes 14, Texas 7. Now the Buckeyes are the number 1 team in the land. It was a defensive battle. Arch Manning struggled. The Buckeyes, the quarterback had a pretty good game. He looked good out there. His first real game, his first start, the Buckeyes, I ain't saying, but saying is the real deal, Holyfield. Penn State looked like a national champion. 46-11 over Nevada. Penn State is going to cause a lot of problems. So is Oregon. 59, Montana State 13. Oregon did not miss a beat. Michigan, Bryce Underwood was better than I thought. I know he came in with all the hype. Bryce Underwood came in with all the hype, but he was even better prepared than I thought. I thought he was stunning. I still have questions about Michigan's wide receivers, but Bryce Underwood was stunning in my opinion. Fernando Mendoza leads Indiana over Old Dominion 27-14. Maryland, Malik Washington, true freshman quarterback. Here comes the Terps. And look at Purdue, 31-0 over Ball State. The Boilermakers pitched a shutout. Tulane almost pitched a shutout against Northwestern. Lowly Northwestern, going to struggle this year. Iowa 34, Albany 7. 44 yards of passing for Mark Gronowski. And the Hawkeyes, they got to go and beat the Cyclones? I don't think so. My Ava was spectacular. They took him out early. The USC Trojan quarterback was spectacular. 73-13 over Missouri State. Utah, again, UCLA got crushed. Nico Amaleven on a jet plane was limping after the game. I don't know what's going to happen to the Bruins this year. I really don't. But whatever spirit they had, Utah might have knocked it out of them. Washington 38, Colorado 21. Speed, lightning speed, the Washington Huskies. That's what I think about watching Demon Williams, Coleman. Holy smokes. Okay, let's do, now we go to the Southeastern Conference. And then we're going to go to your phone calls. We'll go to your super chats, questions, and then your phone calls. And again, Missouri Tigers. What are you going to say? What are you going to say now? Missouri, Kansas. And because of the massive donation of Rock Chalk Jayhawk, Vox Quindaro, I'm going to be singing Jayhawk. I'm going to be singing the fight song this week if Kansas defeats Missouri. I'm going to be singing that song over the weekend. Live. If Kansas defeats Missouri. Because of the incredible generosity of Vox Quindaro. And he requested it. Auburn, 38-24 over Baylor. I still got questions about War Eagle, but my goodness. Jackson Arnold, once Singleton and Coleman get more, once they get more reps between those three guys, Auburn offense is going to be tough to stop. Texas loses to the Buckeyes. Arch Manning. Let's give Arch Manning a little bit more time. He deserves it. That was his first game. He looked lost. He looked rushed. He was off. We'll see what happens the rest of the way. Arch Manning, the Texas Longhorns lose, but I think they will be coming back before this year is over. LSU, massive victory. Brian Kelly wins an opener for the LSU Tigers. Nussmeier, that kid is good and he is tough. Durham, LSU might have found themselves a running back, and they definitely have found themselves a defense. Cade Klubnik was a little bit off, but a lot of it had to do with the LSU Tigers defense. Georgia, the Bulldogs. Let's take a look at something here. Let's take a look at Georgia. Frazier, 11 carries. 11. Come on, Kirby. Come on, Kirby. Give him the rock more than 11 times. More than 11 times. You can't have Gunnar Stockton running the ball that much. Georgia, 45. Marshall, 17. Alabama loses 31-17. Again, we talked about it for weeks and weeks and weeks. Tony White is nobody's fool. He was going to have the Seminoles defense ready to confuse Ty Simpson, and it's exactly what happened. Ryan Williams had a brutal game. Alabama did not have their RB1. I'm not a believer in Bama this year. I said it before this game. I'll say it after this game. I don't believe that Bama is going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to miss it once again. The Florida Gators 55-0 over Long Island University. Oklahoma, John Mateer has shot up the rankings here at PATC Heisman watch list. We will go over that tomorrow. John Mateer is number 3 on the list. He threw for 3 million yards, 3 million touchdowns. Oklahoma 35-3. They got to play Michigan. Texas A&M 42. The Roadrunners 24. Texas A&M's defense, not all that good. But Marcel Reed, he looks like he has developed. Look out. Look out. Ole Miss 63, Georgia State 7, Tennessee 45, Syracuse 26. Mississippi State had a good game. They beat Southern Miss in Southern Miss 34-17. Kentucky struggled. And we now have Mark Stoops on the hot seat list here at PATC. Kentucky's offense looked miserable. Arkansas 52, Alabama A&M 57. The Razorback offense did not have any problems. And Vanderbilt did not have any problems. 45-3. Vanderbilt is getting ready to play South Carolina in an SEC game in a couple of weeks. That is your aftermath. Week 1 aftermath. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at games in week 2. And we're going to take a look at some of them that we're going to be making our picks on Thursday. We're going to be making our picks here against the spread. But tomorrow, I'm going to have most of them listed, most of them loaded in. I'll let you guys have a day to marinate on them. Week 2 is coming up, and it's coming up fast. Penn State is switching from Nike to Adidas as the school's apparel provider, pending approval from the school's board of trustees, Brett McMurphy reports. We've got a super chat. Super chat, Kerry Gold knows. I'm okay with Florida State at 14. Gives us a couple weeks to get ready to treat Miami like we did Bama. Holy smokes. Holy smokes. You can feel the tension. You can feel it. Florida State, Miami. Woo! Thank you for the super chat, Kerry Gold knows. Thank you for your generosity once again. My goodness. The three Florida schools, Florida State, and Miami, all ranked in the top 15 of the AP poll. Florida, 15, right? Florida State, 14? Or do I have it backwards? Florida, 13, whatever. All three of them are ranked in the top 15. All three of them are ranked in the top 15. A monster game. If Underwood goes into Oklahoma, into Norman, and gets a win, woo! Rod Nix, Bama could lose 4. Could lose as many as 4 games this year. Can Gunner throw the ball? Can Georgia's wide receivers catch the rock? Yeah. I'm officially worried about that game. I'm officially worried. I am not going to go and watch those highlights again from California's quarterback. It's just going to give me more anxiety. Minnesota, California, 10:30 Eastern Time. That is becoming a source of great anxiety for myself and the beloved Golden Gophers.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't.
We're gonna go to your phone calls
my
here.
My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. Anxiety, filling up every space, no privacy. And silently, it could build and build until you finally see, whoa, it's taking over, damn no closure, moving closer. No exposure, I just wanna be a loner. Some can't stay sober, looking over all their shoulders.
No, I will not have a chance. I have been asked if I'm going to California game. I've been asked if I'm going to the Oregon game because the Gophers, I got to go to Oregon. Got to go to California and Oregon this year. Not going to be able to make any games. I spend my time in the studio taking care of the little general and my queen, the mother of 92 years. I just cannot go on an airplane and go anywhere right now. But I appreciate it, Cal Bears. It's going to be, it has turned into a can't miss game, which is incredible. Those two quarterbacks, the Gophers quarterback and California quarterback, there could be a show. There could be a big show put on late Saturday night, September 13th. Okay, let me go to the phone calls here. Phone lines are open. 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Thank you, Hammer Hennison. Buckeye, Greg. OPD Don, appreciate it. And Carrie Gold knows I appreciate you guys, the super chats. Thank you for helping us keep the lights on. Anybody can call, talk about college football. The floor will be yours. And in the meantime, we are going to look forward to week 2. First of all, let's do the top 25 games in week 2. We'll skip over Penn State and Florida International, Texas, San Jose State. However, we're not going to skip over this one. Illinois, Duke, Wallace Wade Stadium. Fighting Illini is favored by 2.5 points. 11 o'clock a.m. Central Time, noon Eastern Time. You better believe this is going to be one of the games that we are going to pick against the spread. What do you guys think on this? I right now, I do not have a clue what I'm going to do. I respect the hell out of both of these teams. I think the winner of this game is going to have so much juice after it. Florida State, East Texas A&M. The Cyhawk game. Iowa State, Iowa. The Cyclones are favored by 3.5 points. And I'm not going to keep it a secret. I'm going to take the Cyclones. The PATC community is going to take the Cyclones. Mark Gronowski and that passing offense looked horrid. And I'm using Iowa Hawkeyes standard. They were horrid against Albany. Mark Gronowski threw for 44 yards. They were terrible. And what worries me most about the Iowa Hawkeyes this year, it's not even the passing game. That's not what worries me the most. It's Mark Gronowski taking hits. Between C.J. Carr of Notre Dame and Mark Gronowski of Iowa, both those guys need to be able to learn how to avoid the hit. C.J. Carr is not going to last. Notre Dame's quarterback. He's a tough kid. He runs hard. He's a pretty good athlete. He got some sneaky yards against Miami, but Miami was able to lay the wood on him basically every time they brought him to the ground. Mark Gronowski against Albany. Mark Gronowski against Albany was getting lit up. What is going to happen when you play Iowa State? What's going to happen when you play Nebraska, Minnesota, Wisconsin? And Mark Gronowski is not a young kid. He has played football a lot of games. And I don't think Mark Gronowski, Cyclones, Mark Gronowski, get down. Don't let the Cyclones beat you up. Get down. Baylor, SMU. SMU going to be playing Baylor. Again, another noon Eastern time game. Indiana, Kennesaw State, another noon Eastern time game. Texas Tech plays Kent State, another noon Eastern time game. Texas A&M, number 19, plays Utah State, 12:45 Eastern. The Buckeyes play Grambling, 3:30 Eastern. Georgia plays Austin Peay, 3:30 Eastern. Oregon and Oklahoma State, and there has been some words back and forth on this game. Mike Gundy talks about how much Oregon has paid their players. A lot of money. And then you've got Dan Lanning coming back and saying, well, we are committed to winning. This is why we spend the money. We do not want to not spend the money and have an excuse. I don't know if that was a completely fair shot because not everybody has money. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't mean the team doesn't lack want or will or commitment. They just don't have the money to back them up. Not at this time. Clemson, Troy, 3:30 Eastern time. Ole Miss, Kentucky, early SEC affair on the calendar. Kentucky, I don't know. Ole Miss is only favored by 10.5 right now. 10.5. My goodness. I think if Ole Miss scores 21, they cover the spread with that Kentucky offense. Tennessee, East Tennessee State, Florida, South Florida. Florida, South Florida. On the SEC network, 4:15 Eastern time. That is a big game for South Florida Bulls. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the Gators implode in this game and the South Florida Bulls come away with a victory in Gainesville? We're going to talk about that game later on this week. Utah against Cal Poly, 6 o'clock Eastern. Miami against Bethune-Cookman, 7 o'clock Eastern. Bethune-Cookman, Miami, South Carolina State, 7 o'clock. LSU, Louisiana Tech, 7:30 Eastern. Arizona State, Mississippi State, 7:30 Eastern. And the game of the week. Michigan, Oklahoma. This is the game that the PATC is going to be doing a watch party on. Watch party, 7:30 Eastern, 15 Michigan versus 18 Oklahoma. Bryce Underwood versus John Mateer. I cannot wait. Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma, and Bama goes against University of Louisiana Monroe, 7:45 Eastern. So those are the top 25 games. We'll go over more of the games as the week goes on. It's already Tuesday, by the way. Usually we do the Aftermath show on a Sunday. But because we had games all the way to Monday, today is what we're doing an Aftermath show, which is kind of funky. Utah's America's team is back, baby. Secret agent, nobody said that Pittsburgh is Big Ten bound. Nobody said that. Nobody reported that.
Call from.
I did not get a name. Who is on the line? Hello. 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 Give me a call back. But you gotta be ready. Gotta be ready. And gotta put your name in. How about them UNC Tar Heels? Not a good game. Not a good game.
From
Rock and Rant.
Rock and Rant, the floor is yours. Go ahead, sir.
I think sad leprechauns were messing with my phone line or yours.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
Why is anybody shocked about last night with Bill Belichick? I mean, maybe how bad it was, but the fact that it was bad when he had their supposed talent assessment had a quarterback come in before the spring and boomerang right back out, so they had to go get another quarterback. I just can't really get the shock that North Carolina wasn't good.
Yeah, it's actually one of the games I got right. I said TCU would blow them out. I was, I mean, again, when we analyze these teams, I still think North Carolina is going to win a handful of ACC games, though. I could be wrong. If you look at the schedule,
an easy path to more than 500 too. I understand where you were coming from prior to last night.
Yeah, they were miserable last night. It was bad. It was bad in so many different levels. I mean, they couldn't even. They were given a cushion to those wide receivers, and they couldn't still come up and make a play. I mean, they were on skates. It was bad, man. It was really, really bad. I don't know. I don't even know if you can fix any of that stuff.
I don't think they can. Like I no longer think that they're guaranteed to be a 6-6 seed because that team was atrocious, and credit to TCU and taking offense. So it's always hard in these week one games to figure out who is the truth and who is just relative to somebody that is disappointing or exceeding expectations. You still need a few weeks, but TCU played extremely well, and North Carolina was trash. I think we can still take that away from them. So I don't know. It was the whole slurp fest before was also really terrible. And I think the thing that I watched, I don't know if you saw any of it, was his post-game press conference, which is one thing to do it when you're in the NFL and you don't have to woo people and win friends over just to make sure your boss is happy. I don't know how that guy goes into, yes, he's a Super Bowl champion, but if you're 5-7 and your NIL is not the best around, it doesn't matter what your rings are if a kid thinks that you're boring and lame.
Yeah.
And he just has no charisma on that stage. He just has the aura of a Super Bowl champion. I'm not dismissing it, but college game is different. Deion worked his way and has charisma up the wazoo. Whether you like that charisma or you don't like that charisma, you could see him going into living rooms in person or via FaceTime and getting people interested and having seen him on commercials. Like Belichick, it does not look like he's selling that program at every moment he can.
Yeah, and you have to, but you are correct.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I don't know. It was worse than I even expected, and I've been dunking on them for 7 months. So I was just curious as to your take. LSU was the best team I saw. I don't know about what your view, but I thought that they were really impressive. I still think Clemson's going to be fine. I still think Texas is going to be fine. Ohio State's obviously doing their thing, and of course I'm completely thrilled with Miami, even with JoJo Trader and Elijah Lofton, who are probably going to become bigger weapons down the road. They were banged up in training camp. They kept that kind of quiet. Hopefully on the road going forward. But I was a pretty happy camper. And what were the things that you were most surprised about or intrigued about this weekend?
Surprised. Surprised. As far as bad as I did with my picks against the spread, there were teams that I thought were gonna really show out in week one, and they did, like Missouri, like Utah, so like Florida State. You know what? I'm gonna. I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but if you do, that's fine. It makes the show more interesting. I'm surprised how damn good Miami was. I am not. When I look at that LSU Clemson game, Clemson lost, but I still see a lot of good stuff out of Clemson. Notre Dame and Miami, even though Notre Dame lost, I see a lot of really good stuff from that Notre Dame team. It was very good performances by LSU and very good performance by Miami to win those games. I'm talking, I think Miami played at an extremely, extremely high level, especially on the line of scrimmage. I know Miami has I know they have great lines. It's why I couldn't get Louisville into the playoffs. I could not get them past Miami. Miami is going to be too dominant on the lines. But you're up against Notre Dame, man. And I know Notre Dame lost a couple of guys in the NFL draft on their defensive line. But Notre Dame is going to bring it, and they brought it. But Miami, what they did with Jeremiah Love, Miami really, really looked impressive.
Yeah, look, CJ Carr really grew into it. There's a lot of people hating on whatever he did. Like, outside of Bryce Underwood, right, who also played against relative nobody, and I'll never get his name right, so I'm never going to, but JKS at Cal.
Yeah.
Was like ridiculous.
JKS.
I was going to say JK.
Yeah.
Right. Just, forever. He was so impressive. But like, Carr was the next most impressive to me. It's like actually doing something in a game, not against, an FCS opponent, worse than the FCS. And I don't think Notre Dame loses another game this year. Unless USC is really for real. But I don't think they're losing to A&M. A&M looks like trash relatively for their expectations against UTSA. Boise we saw. So I think Notre Dame is still going to be one of the top 10 teams, and I think it's very possible that Miami and Notre Dame both played their hardest game of the year, but it's also possible that we're going to see that FSU is completely legit and is in that same mix. I don't think that Florida is personally, but we'll also see. For me, K-State is the most surprising. I almost feel like K-State called 2024 Kansas and asked us for the blueprint of how to completely disappoint to start the season. They're the ones I picked for the Big 12, and they don't look good at all. I mean, they looked okay against Iowa State in Armageddon, but they did not look good this weekend against inferior competition. Yeah. And I don't really want to hear about travel because Iowa State had travel, and Seminoles is a really good FCS program.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. I mean, South Dakota is historically is better than North Dakota. So, maybe not this year. We're going to find out. But yeah, I watched a lot of that North Dakota Kansas State game. I had that on ESPN Plus with my other devices. I was watching a whole bunch of games, and Kansas State was confused as hell. Chris Kleiman said we were not. On defense, we were not using our eyes. I mean, they had no idea where the running back was. North Dakota was running right up the gut. The linebackers were completely lost. I think Kansas State's in a lot of trouble.
And then for this upcoming weekend, obviously Michigan and Oklahoma. And if Oklahoma loses that game, I don't know what degree heat level is that under Venables. And the other game I'm looking forward to is Iowa State having an immaculate victory against Iowa. And if you know, you know.
Did you watch Iowa? Did you watch Mark Gronowski?
I did.
He better. Hopefully that was. It was a train wreck. It was so bad. Iowa had they just said, okay, we're not going to pass the ball again. We're going to run over this really poor FCS team in Albany. But Mark Gronowski, there was a wide receiver wide open in the end zone. It was going to be about a 20-yard pass because the receiver was halfway in the end zone. And Mark Gronowski threw it about 11 yards. And nobody hit Mark Gronowski. He just shorted it. He shorted the throw by 9 yards to a wide open receiver. He had the yips. Mark Gronowski had the yips. So Cyclones, I think it's going to be a Cyclone party come this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. He was one of the Dakota's FCS transfers I was most looking forward to. What he could do, but the best Dakota's transfer into the T4 was pushing Notre Dame guys back over the goal line and scoring a touchdown for Miami. So we'll have to see what happens. But I think Iowa State has a good chance of rolling in that one, and I'm sure that will be a sweet victory for them on Sunday if it comes to pass.
Yeah.
All right,
Greg. Man.
Be good.
You got it. Rock and Rant. Congratulations on the Hurricane victory, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it. Beautiful call. Rock and Grant. Phone lines are open. 763. There we go.
Call from
Tristan 5.
Tristan is on the line. The floor is yours.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for taking my call.
You got it, buddy.
Listen,
Thanks
I
for
wanted to
calling.
throw out a few comments for you on this past weekend's action.
Yep,
Get your reaction.
you got it.
So, first of all, Brian Kelly won an opener.
Yes.
Greg, I think hell has frozen over.
And they looked really good. I think they
Yeah,
looked
he
great. I
did.
think Clemson looked good. But go ahead.
Yeah, well, the surprising thing to me, and I don't know if you agree with this, but it's really surprising to me that LSU did not look soft.
Yeah. No,
I mean,
they did
that's
not
been
look
like the
soft,
defining
sir.
characteristic.
Yeah. Nothing like last year. Yep.
Yeah, so they finally got that figured out. But I got to tell you, Greg, the fan base I'm the happiest for is Florida State.
Yeah.
Man, last year was just a nightmare. And now it feels like, I know it was only 1 week, but it feels like they might be back.
Yeah.
This is a team that looks like it can compete for a playoff spot.
Yes. They were incredibly efficient in what they did. That was not just a 14-point win on the scoreboard. That was a 14-point win in the trenches everywhere. I think it was a great win for Florida State and how they did it. And
Yeah,
Bama,
Greg, I wanted to.
go ahead.
Yeah, what you're saying is correct. I mean, it's not that they won; it's how they won.
Yeah.
And listen, they dominated in the trenches,
Yeah.
right? And listen, if you were comparing these teams side by side, I mean, which team is the one with all the 4 and 5 stars? Right? It's supposed to be Alabama.
Yeah.
And Greg, you know what? Man, I was watching some of the reactions. I guess I watched too much YouTube, but I was looking at a lot of the reactions that the fan base is having. And man, Greg, they are in meltdown mode.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen any of that or not.
Yeah, I've seen a little bit of it. It's it's a different world in college football now, right? Even if you are a blue blood, if you miss out on a little bit of here, a little bit of recruiting, you're nicked up, you have some injuries, whatever it is, your coaching staff isn't up to par. You don't have the margin of error like you had before. You just don't anymore.
Right.
And so these big time programs with these unbelievable fan bases, devoted fan bases that spend so much money on these tickets and NIL and the t-shirts, and they get together, they watch every game, and it goes on for generation after generation. These big time fan bases, their teams are going to disappoint them more than ever before because the talent is spread around a little bit more. The coaching talent is spread around a little bit more. The exposure is spread around a little bit more. So you're absolutely right. Bama fans, it ain't going to be like how it was with Nick Saban. Those days are gone.
Yeah, they are. And Greg, unfortunately for them, I mean, they're screaming for a new coach. They're already having conversations about who they should hire in the fan base. But Get this, Kalen DeBoer, his buyout is, I think, if I heard this correctly, it's $70 million if they were to go ahead and try and move on from him after this season.
I hope that Kalen DeBoer gets an opportunity to coach up their freshman quarterback, Keelan Russell. If I got, Jalen Milroe was not a Kalen DeBoer recruit or type of quarterback. Ty Simpson, it was not a Kalen DeBoer or type recruit or a type of quarterback. These are not Kalen DeBoer, John Grubb, the offensive coordinator. These are not their quarterbacks. So I'm hoping that we see Kalen DeBoer get a little bit more time. Now, I've got him number 2 on the hot seat list, so I don't know if he's going to get the time. But I want him to be able to develop a guy he actually recruited. Like he said, I want this guy. So, we'll see.
Well, I think he's going to get next year no matter what.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's long enough or not. I mean, I hope it is. I hate to see any coach get fired after that short of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, Greg, you know what? You were right talking about Georgia, saying, hey, what's going on? So this is getting back to what I was telling you. I've been saying this the whole time. He can't put together a championship caliber offense. Kirby cannot do that. And you made note of the scrambling that we saw from their quarterback, Gunnar Stockton.
Yep.
Greg, he's trying to recapture what they had with Stetson Bennett. That's what's going on there. They're trying to get that dual threat quarterback situation going. I don't know that Gunnar Stockton has the chops to pull that off. I mean, maybe he does. We'll have to wait and see how he does against a real team. That doesn't count, right? But we're gonna. Greg, they're not going to do well this year. They're just not. I'm just telling you right now. At least 3 losses, missing the playoffs.
Wow.
And that's
Georgia
my call.
and Alabama both missing the playoffs, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, I know that they've been rock solid for the last, 5 years where they were in contention every year, it seems like. But, Greg, listen, their schedule's too tough. Tennessee's looking like they may be back or at least improved over what they were. Auburn looks improved. Florida looks improved. They still can't beat Alabama, and I know that everyone's going to say, hey, look, Alabama looks really down right now. But you know what? They were supposed to be really down last year, and Georgia couldn't beat them. So, listen, I'm telling you, they got a brutal schedule. It's absolutely brutal, and they're just not going to survive their schedule. And their offense is going to continue to be a subpar, by championship standards, Greg, a subpar unit.
Yeah.
Right? Defense is always going to be good with Kirby, right? You can always count on that. But I'm telling you right now, the team I'm going with is Ohio State. I said it last year. I'm sticking with them this year. I think they've got what it takes to win it all again this year.
Wow.
And, man, they got to cut Ryan Day some slack. I mean, there's still people complaining about him. I can't believe it.
I'll say this. The one weakness that the Buckeyes have, they've only got one weakness. And I don't know if it's a weakness, but it's a huge step down from last year, and that is the running backs. Peoples and Donaldson are not Trevion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. It's a huge step backwards. So they're going to have to try to win it with more of a, they're going to have to win it without an outstanding backfield, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Greg, I think this, what we're seeing at Ohio State signals a new philosophy in college, big-time college football, because what they've successfully done, last year you can attribute a great deal of their success to Chip Kelly, right? The way it was masterful. The way that offense was running at the end of the season was just masterful. And now this year, Matt Patricia looks like he's got the defense playing really well. He's got some NFL caliber X's and O's going out there on defense. Okay? This is the new thing. Georgia, when they won their titles, had Todd Monken. He's in the NFL now. You got Chip Kelly last year, Matt Patricia this year at Ohio State. Teams that do this, Greg, if you can bring in an NFL caliber X's and O's guy on offense or on defense, you're going to have a leg up. And teams are going to have to start looking at this as a viable option to improve, especially when they're stuck with a head coach. that might be something Alabama needs to think about. Hey, look, we're stuck with Kalen DeBoer. Maybe we can come up with some better offensive and defensive coordinators, and that'll improve the team. And that's what Florida State did. Look at that. They replaced a lot of the staff. Man, it's a world of difference. You get the right person in there. It's not always just the head coach, Greg. A lot of times it's the offensive or defensive coordinator.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So, listen, I said way more than I intended to. I appreciate you taking my call.
You got it, buddy.
And I will talk to you later.
Thank you, Tristan. Call again, sir.
All right. Bye-bye.
Beautiful call. Yeah, I thought Corey Heatherman was going to do a real good job for Miami. I did not know it was going to happen so quick. Yeah, so, wow. Yeah. A lot of good comments. By Tristan. We got ourselves a super chat from Jacoba Cat. Iowa's offensive constipation will not pass. My puckered tummy drain is clogged and bloated with unrealized touchdowns. Need to pass a huge TD. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. Thank you, Jacoba Cat. Thank you for the $5 holla. I don't know. I mean, again, we all know the old saying, right? The biggest improvement in college football is from week 1 to week 2. The Iowa Hawkeyes are going to put that to the test. It's got to be better against the Cyclones. If it doesn't look better, if the passing game does not look better against the Cyclones, we're past the point. We are way past the point of the special teams and defense saving Iowa all the time. In that great running game they had last year because of that great running back. We'll see what happens. It is one of the most intriguing games of week 2. The Cyclones, you've already won a road game in Dublin, Ireland, and it was considered a road game on your schedule. You beat Kansas State. You're 1-0 in the Big 12. Then you went and thumped a South Dakota team. And now if you go beat the Hawkeyes, if the Cyclones go beat the Hawkeyes, the Cyclones are primed. They're primed to get back to the Big 12 championship game. The Hawkeyes, if the Hawkeyes lose a close game, a competitive game, and they did something on offense, they actually competed some passes, and Mark Gronowski threw a touchdown pass, and they just lost to a better team, okay, the Hawkeyes could get back on track. If the Hawkeyes get absolutely thumped by the Cyclones, and their passing is what it looks like it did against Albany, then the Hawkeyes, I'm not sure if that is recoverable at that point. I don't know. It's we'll see. It's a very intriguing game. Very intriguing game. Yeah, it was a big win by this to beat South Dakota like that. I consider that a pretty damn good win. Pretty good win. Purdue beat Ball State. Good win by Purdue. I mean, those fans went 1-11 last year. It's got to feel good. Got to feel good. Now, again, Purdue started the season last year again, defeated Indiana State Sycamores, and then they lost 11 straight. So hopefully things are a little bit different for Purdue this year. Morris Simmons, when the Florida schools rise back to the top of college football, the national championship will once again run through the state of Florida. Hold on here. We'll cover this breaking news here, although this was a couple hours ago. On 3 Sports, Penn State is switching from Nike to Adidas as the school's apparel provider, pending approval from the school's board of trustees, Brett McMurphy reports. So, again, another major football program, major athletic department is switching their apparel provider, switching from Nike to Adidas. Very interesting. Very interesting. College game day in Ames, Iowa. Thank you, finally, tuned. I appreciate it. I want to thank everybody who joined us today. Those who gave us a donation to help us keep the lights on: Jacoba Cat, Carrie Gold Nose, Opie, Helmer Hennison, Buckeye Greg. I appreciate it. I appreciate the phone calls, Rock and Rant and Tristan. Thank you very much. I want to remind everybody before you leave, if you haven't done it yet, please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notifications. We can come on live at any time, morning, afternoon, or night. So again, subscribe and turn on the notifications. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Tomorrow we're going to be going through more of the Week 2 games, covering all the breaking news in college football. Very interesting Week 2. Iowa, Iowa State, Oklahoma, Michigan. And don't forget the South Florida Bulls against the Florida Gators. Is DJ Legway going to play for Florida? We shall see. But I want to thank you all for joining us. I do appreciate it. Until next time, from all of us at College Football's Peek Around the Corner, to all of you, please you all take great care of each other. And as always, God, family, Golden Gophers.